entered again into the synagogue. There was a man which had a withered hand.
There's a man in church, and he calls the man to stand up among the entire congregation. When he calls the man forward, the other pastors, ministers, evangelists, bishops, church people are looking at him. He says to them, "Which one would you rather I do? Do good or evil, right or wrong? Speak good over this man or bad to him? You want me to put him out or allow him to stay in?" This particular time, it's like he has to choose whether to heal the man or let him stay in his current condition. So the man is standing up in the middle center of the church, embarrassed, but he's standing. Jesus looks at the man and says, "Stretch out your hand." Now I become like extremely biased about the text. I grew up in the Word, so I know the Bible. So I often look for something different that's not like normal. Ways are people not gonna be preaching it? How do I make it relatable for today, right? That's what I look for. Hear the word, feel the word. So I put myself in the text a lot of times. It's risky, but it's a chance he's willing to take. It's risky. The situation that the man finds himself in. Jesus, that is, not the man with the withered hand. It's risky, but it's a chance he's willing to take because he's not performing surgery. He's healing through his words. I'm wondering if the man with the withered hand is willing to take the same risk if he knew that his life was at stake. I feel like for relation, it would be, how many times has God called you to stand up in a place that makes you uncomfortable, where people know him but judge you? How many places do God require you to be a light for him, and instead of you standing out in a crowd that's comfortable blending in, you become silent to your testimony of how he brought you out, how he saved your life, how he spared your child, how he changed your whole life because of fear, too much of a risk to even see the reward at the end. Jesus would be the perfect person to show up on this day. Be it Sunday or Friday or Thursday or Wednesday, Saturday or Tuesday. Jesus showed up in church that day. Now, you don't really find him too many times in church, but we found him on church that day. I'm not saying that church is a place where you have to go to meet him, but it's a good place to start for somebody. Is that know that you're never too messed up or crippled or lying in a dead place that you can't come and he won't meet you there. Wherever you are, I mean, it speaks to the hurt. It speaks to those people who's been used, abused, been manipulated by church. Yeah, they owe you an apology for how they treated you, wouldn't let you sing, wouldn't let you preach, wouldn't let you pray. They will put your mom out or shun her, or your daddy didn't come, and it becomes like a silent place where you doubt the grace because of the lack of people's in church faith. It's risky. Risky going knowing that you stand out because you don't go. And then there is the uncomfortable side of being there, watching somebody else get healed, get set free, get delivered, and you come week after week after week and nobody calls you to the front. Seems like the only time they need you is when the auxiliary is lacking one person, or the choir really don't need you to sing. They know that you do good on this one particular song. Where Easter becomes the time of year everybody goes, but everybody is distant because they don't know you and you don't know them. So somewhere in reality, it's like we lose the church and the relationship. Where you may have stopped going, but you knew him but left him there. I don't know what this man's story is, but I know that he has a crippled hand. I know that he would be trying to do right but can't reach it. He would be right on the verge of a breakthrough but couldn't touch it. He would be in a place of getting to God, but somebody stands in his way to point out what his handicap is. The man is at the back of the church. At the front was where they set the appropriate people. And you've been called non-essential, not important. Your office position, your age, your status, your range, your race puts you in the back because you're not good enough. You don't feel talented enough. You don't blend in with them because you stand out amongst them, because what you're dealing with is something that cripples you. But I need you to know on today, you're not compelled to how people would look at you and try and cripple you. You have to know that when he called the man, he was aware of what he called the man to stand up among. That Jesus showed up in church on this day and calls him out, and that becomes the whole purpose of him showing up anyway. So it doesn't have to be church, it can be the club, it can be school, it can be college, it can be work, it can be any place that you're called to stand up for him and not say anything. So for somebody out there in the world, you're thinking that maybe you have to stand up and cannot because you don't know what to say. He just asks you to stand. You have to stand up for a belief that, God, I don't know everything. I'm not sure how to interpret the words the right way. I'm not sure whether I can help somebody. It's risky, the situation you find yourself in, because people often laugh at you when you talk about the goodness of God and how he's brought you through. You can't explain it, don't know what to say that it's due to. It's not that you've been so good. It's not that you've been so great. It's not even that you've been in a great place all of the time, but that you're just called out. So today I will be talking to somebody who's called out, who's set apart, who's different, who is unique in every single way, but you just don't know how to stand. Where God asks you to do something and you really can't even do it because you just don't know how to stand. It's not that you don't have a leg to stand on. It's your hand that cripples you. But notice before he healed the man, he told him to stretch out his hand. The problem is that so many people look at you and doubt you, and you don't even realize that the stuff they're doubting you for is something you don't even struggle with, is what hinders them. He says, stretch out your hand, and he does. Then it says, in his hand was healed and restored. There was nothing wrong with his hand. There was something wrong with the environment his hand couldn't thrive in. It's always going to be a risk when you're called to stand out and bring attention to what everybody else don't want to attend to in themselves. Where you want to point the blame at them and they point the blame at you, and we're just pointing fingers, but nobody has an available hand. I say that it's risky the place you find yourself in, because Jesus knows that how they see it doesn't matter to be explained, because he knows if there's power in his name, somebody's going to be upset. Somebody's going to be mad. It's going to be the depth of him trying to save you. It's risky. Many times you'll feel like that. You'll feel like, can I die in it if I try in it? I got to push you to try today. I got to push you to try to think outside of your box. Think outside of your incapabilities based off of what they said and how they see you. Think outside of the box of the average approach of just doing it the way that they've always done it because it's good enough for grandma or granddad. There's so much more out there in the world that's waiting for you that you can't let fear unmotivate you. I need you to be aware that he calls you to something different. He calls you to stand up where everybody else is sitting down. He calls you to stick out where everybody else want to blend in. And he calls you to lift your hand, to bring it forward when everybody else wants to condemn it and restrict it. And know that God uses everybody who's willing. You can be in the back and be willing, and he'll call you. You can be in the front and be quiet, and he'll still call you. You can be outside of the church and he'll leave and come and get you. Because anybody that's willing, he'll use. It doesn't matter what your education is, where you would have stopped school, what job you work, how you dress, if you have 3, 4 kids, if you don't have any at all, if you are married, if you are a virgin, if you are not. It does not matter if you clubbed last night or if you got up late this morning, barely made it in. It doesn't matter. He said, all I need you to do is show up and be available. that is discontinued to the work of everybody else and only available so you have a withered hand just for him. I know that it's risky because Jesus calls a man to stretch out his hand, but notice when they nailed him to the cross, they nailed his hand. They didn't put it in his palm, they didn't put it in his arm, they put it in his wrist. They put it in his wrist because it's risky every way that he would bleed to save you today. It's the risk he would take to leave heaven and come down to earth and to save us if we wanted to be saved is risky. It's risky that he would live as a man, not sin, and still be suppressed under death, that he would die so that we could live again. It's risky, but he took it. I think it's a risk I'm willing to take to stand up for him when he would lay down for me. It ought to be a risk that you're willing to take to at least explore the possibility that God loves you beyond what you could ever think, dream, or imagine. So just reach out to him and let him in. Open the door, for he's knocking at it, trying to come in. He would be begging you, seeking you, searching for you constantly. It's risky, I know. People will doubt it and say that you're going crazy, but it's a risk worth taking, that he'll come in and he'll change your life. My God, he'll change your life. He'll make it so that peace is important to you, but you don't subscribe to happiness anymore. Is that your emotions are not up and down based off of whether people like you or agree with you. It's risky, but if he could take the risk and bleed for you so that you could live forever, I think on this side, you ought to die to everything that is the old you and take that risk that he'll raise you and that you can live again with him, calls you by hand.